All right, so how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm just trying to do a test here of C-Log and 4-bit 1022, and it's purposely got a blue cast to it and overexposed because I want to see how far I can really get a picture out of whack and see if I can bring it back in. So we're at tungsten white balance, so it probably has a really nice blue cast to it. Everything's looking kind of smurfy. And then I also overexposed the shot, all this on purpose to see if I can recover it using the X-Rite video checker and just my own skills in Final Cut Pro 10, and to see if the C-Log will actually hold up and let me fix everything. So we'll move over to Final Cut and give it a shot and see if I can actually fix this. All right, everybody, we're back here in Final Cut Pro, and let's see if we can start fixing this. So the first thing we want to do is definitely fix our white balance because we know that's off. So we'll go ahead and select the clip, and we'll hit balance color, and we don't want Final Cut to do this. We want to do it ourselves. So we'll go over to the balance color, and we'll change it to white balance. And you see if it gives us a little eyedropper. And we can go up here and hit the white, and it cleans it up significantly from the automatic. So here's the automatic, and here's with the eyedropper. So definitely a difference. We can put on a draw mask, and then we can see if we can clean this up a little more with white balance, just in case there was a sheen or a shine or a glint that threw off the white balance. So we can make this bigger, get it in the center, and go back up here to balance color, get our little eyedropper here, and see if it makes a difference. You see how our IREs are going up and down? That looks just about there all across at maybe 77 IRE. So you'll notice over here in the RGB parade, you want them all even, and that means you pretty much have a good white balance. We can also check on the vector scope, see if our white balance is good, and it's right in the middle. That's exactly what we want. So even though I shot this at probably 2300 Kelvin off from what it should be around 5500 temperature or Kelvin. It was shot around 3200 Kelvin because I purposely put the camera into tungsten. So that looks like that fixed our white balance pretty good. So let's go ahead and turn off this draw mask, put this back to fit. Now the next thing we want to try to clean up, go back to the waveforms, is look to make sure our exposure and saturation is good. So we go back here to our color board, go to our exposure, and we'll just clean this up a little bit. Make it a little less dark, a little bit less in the midtones, and then we can clean up the blacks or the shadows here a little bit, make it look a little better. You see our blue is a little bit off. So we can go over to the color wheels. We'll go over here to our master, and we'll move it just a tad away from blue. You see the blue move up just a tad? There we go. Now the blue, the green, and the red are pretty much even. So that looks pretty good. We clean that up just a little bit better. Then we go back to our draw mask. We'll reset it. And this time we want to put our draw mask around our colors and see what they look like. So we'll put around here, make this bigger, 50%. Get it in the middle. Clean up our draw mask here a little bit. And the next thing we want to do is boost up our saturation. So I'm going to go back here to the color board, get our saturation and boost it all the way up. And then I'm going to go over here to my vector scope and see what my colors look like. So you can see my spider's a little off from the red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, and yellow. So we're going to go over and create a hue saturation curve. I'll pick the little eyedropper, and we're going to select one color at a time. So we'll go to the yellow, and we'll go in the middle here. You definitely want to hold down the shift key, and let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. That looks pretty good. The one thing I do want to go is back to my color wheels, because I'm not quite in the middle here. So let me go back to my color wheels here real quick. So my spider should be right in the middle, and it's not. So let me clean this up just a tad. There we go. Spider's looking a little better. See, right now it's in the middle. It was off toward the cyan and blue. That's why we're getting that blue cast. And actually, when I moved the master before, I actually moved it in the wrong direction. I went toward the blue again instead of away from the blue toward the yellows. So that looks like a little better, and our spider is like right in the middle. So now we can go back to our hues and saturation curves. And our yellow looks like it's right on. Remember to hold the shift key. And if your spider leg here is not quite straight, you can go off to the side here and maybe straighten it out a little bit. There you go. That one's straightened out. The next thing we're going to go to, once we select the eyedropper, and we're going to go to our red. But that looks like it's a little off here, so we'll move our red back up. All right, looking much better. Go on to the next color, which is cyan. And if you notice, our cyan is way off. So we'll get the arm looking a little straight here. We'll go to the side. That one's not doing too much. And we'll go to this side. If I can select it. And that's not doing too much. So we'll go back over here. There we go. And get our magenta right. Let's point it straight at it. Then we'll do our blue. And do the blue. Let's see if it points to the B. Yep. There's the B pointing to the blue. Go over to our cyan here. And we'll move our cyan. Make it point to the cyan. And lastly, we'll go to the green. Remember to hold the shift key when you're doing this. And we'll get that leg kind of straight. It's kind of crooked, so we'll move off to the side here and try to clean up that leg a little bit so it's a little sharper. There we go, much sharper leg. And it's pointing right to the green. So our spider looks pretty good. Not real happy with the magenta. That's not looking good. You can see how it's kind of curved. Let me see if I can clean this up a little bit. There we go. Legs a little straighter. I got rid of that little ghost that was to the side. I still see a little bit of that ghost. Get my legs straight. So because my colors and everything was so far off, this is hard to do, but at least you know you can get it close and correct it most of the way so it looks pretty good. So let's go back to our color board and turn our saturation back down. Instead of 100%, maybe around 20 or something like that. Go over to our exposure because it'll probably change. And our exposure looks like it definitely changed. Go back to fit and we'll undo our mask. Ooh, and that looks terrible. And the reason it looks terrible is because now you see our cyans are off. So we'll go back to the color wheels and see if we can fix our spider here. So there we go. Put our spider back in the middle. Let's take a look at this now and see what it looks like. So we'll go back and turn off our draw mask. And looking a little better. Still a little on the orangey side. But let's see what our exposure and everything looks like. So we'll go back to our waveforms. You can see our blue is off again. So we'll go to our color wheels and check our temperature. That looks a little better. Tint. Yeah, that look good. So move the temperature around a little bit. That looks better. And then we'll go back to our color board again. I want to check my exposure. So let's check out the highlights. midtones, and the shadows. There we go. So what we did was we started from this mess, and we went to something like this, which definitely looks a little better. It is not perfect, but it definitely looks better than it did. And of course, I could go through and clean this up some more. Play with the wheels, play with the saturation, play with the colors. There's a lot of stuff we could do, but I just wanted to show you, even if your white balance is off, your exposure is off, there's things you can do to clean this up. The other thing we can do is add a LUT to see if we can clean this up. So let me go over here and add a LUT. And if you see it made it really bright. So we'll go back to our color board here, and because we know we overexposed it, and we'll bring this down to about 90 midtones. Bring our shadows up a little bit here, midtones, and we'll bring it up to about 100. I'm about 90 right now, so I'll show you. Bring this up to 100. Now we'll take a look again. Ooh, overexposed. So you see, even if it looks off and you keep playing with it, you may make it worse. So we'll go ahead and hit Control C here and go back to where we were. And even though it's not perfect, it's definitely usable, and we could definitely clean it up some more. So, not perfect, that's for sure, but we could definitely clean this up, play with it some more, try to get the colors right. So we'll see what we can do here. Oops, the one thing I forgot to do was take this stupid LUT off. That's what's throwing me off. We can try all kinds of LUTs if you want. That one looks a little better. So that was the LUT throwing us off. So if you do throw a LUT on here, just remember it could be your LUT throwing you off if you're all screwed up. So let's go back to our color board and our exposure. Move this up a little bit. At 100, move our midtones and our highlights. So definitely not perfect, but definitely looking better. So as you can see, if you keep playing around, it'll get better and better. It just definitely takes practice. The main thing is if you change your LUT, you're going to change the whole color because it'll change the color gamut. So hopefully this helped you a little bit. Have a great day or night, everybody, and happy shooting. Thank you.